Hey there, adventure fans. What are the things you should always pack in your backpack every time you go hiking?
Today we're going to talk about those 10 essentials and maybe a few extras.
Ooh. Welcome back, adventure fans, to this Campfire Coffee Chat. Well, it's going to be a bit of a sad Campfire Coffee Chat because we brought some of the fixins to make coffee, and then I forgot some of the other fixins to make the coffee. So today we are featuring accessible coffee. We are by no means sponsored by said brown cup that I'm not mentioning.
I can't even see what it is actually.
That's not too bad.
We got it from somewhere.
We got it from somewhere.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of...
Thank you, somewhere
for your coffee. I'm a big fan of coffee made by other people.
Yep. Saves us time. You don't have to do it.
So you will have to check back in June to see what our original coffee choice of the month was going to be.
Yeah.
We apologize. So today we're talking about the 10 essentials. Anybody who has started hiking or gone into the backcountry has probably heard whispers or comments about the 10 essentials. The 10 essentials are those items that should always be in your bag, no matter if you're doing a day hike, if you're going deep country, overnighters. You know what? I even kind of have a mini version of the 10 essentials in my car, right? It's those items that you would need everywhere, whenever, all the time.
The original 10 essentials list was created in the 1930s by a group called the Mountaineers. They're a Seattle-based group of outdoor enthusiasts that just wanted to help people be prepared for emergency situations in the outdoors. Over the years, the list has evolved to a systems approach rather than listing each individual item.
If you have a bit of an understanding of the 5 or 10 C's, depending where you go, of survivability, you'll understand that a lot of that is included in the 10 essentials as well, which includes your 5 C's, which are cutting, combustion, cordage, container,
Cover.
and coverage, right? So, cheat sheet. So that is definitely included in your 10 essentials. So why don't we start it off? So number 1, navigation. Navigation should always include those items that you need to get from point A to point B. In some small hikes, that might even just be printing off, right, a picture of the hike, a map of the hike. Trails. I know right now we're out in the lovely Chikaku recreational area, just out by Edmonton, Alberta, right? So here you can easily just print off the list. It's just a one sheet, you can't go wrong.
There's even a map.
There's a map over by the entrance too, so there's that option. If you're getting a little deeper, maybe you might need to get into something a little bit fancier, right? So here, for example, I do have the Jasper Moline Lake area. I like this one because for canoeing purposes, that's got all the lake stuff, right? And then having a compass, right? So here's a full proper compass. And there we are.
Fancy. Yes.
Yeah. I like this one too. Has my backup whistle. It's kind of nice. It's got a little bit of the extra woo-hoo-hoos on there. You can also get some small ones, like this is just a little button one. They tend to be a little less accurate when they're small, I find, unless you get into the higher quality. I also have a tiny little one that's always on my backpack at all times. One of the other, you can always use your phone.
Yep.
Right, All Trails is really good, so if you're going to do that, just make sure that you're bringing a power bank and a cord to come with you, right? So making sure that that's a part of your essential kit if you're using your phone for navigation. I also highly recommend a PLB or a personal locator beacon. This one's a Spot. I got it for a real good price at the Outdoor Sportsman Show a couple years back for only $100. It's really nice. So there's a check-in button. So when I'm out on the hikes, I can hit that button, and what it does is it sends a little, I am here, I am safe, I'm at the location I'm supposed to be, to the people on my list, right? So it'll either send a text message or an email, right? And if you have a worry wart of a mother like I do, this is a great addition. Reach has actually come out with a new version that is a little bit of a GPS with some of this locator beacon stuff on there, but they're running about $600 Canadian right now, so that is a bit pricey. So this one also has a button for like a text message, so you can send a pre-determined text message to somebody, I'm okay. So there is the, I kind of need a little bit of help button, right? And that's the one that you send to your friends. So this is great. If you're driving long distances, this is a good one, right? So you send that and it'll send a text message to AIDE saying, kind of in some trouble, I could use some help. Then there is the full SOS, and that's the alert the Coast Guard, you know, search and rescue's coming to your help. And so that actually goes to 911 or whatever your local emergency service is. The one thing I will have to say, there is a yearly fee for this, but for my peace of mind, I think it's $150. Canadian, when with like interest rates and because it's American money.
Oh, okay.
I personally think it is well worth it.
Number 2, Illumination. So what we have here, we have our headlamps, which is a personal favorite. It's easy, you can put it on your head, you take it with you. It's really nice. One thing about this, and I guess all of our Illumination items, you have to make sure you bring extra batteries just in case, because you never know when they're gonna die. Next, we have this lovely item. So we have our Phoenix flashlight. We really love these ones. Phoenix is definitely a brand that we appreciate and we also use in our work life. So it's one of our personal favorites. And this one also has, I don't know if you hold it.
This is one of the older ones.
Oh,
you gotta.
Sometimes they have a strobe on them, so.
It's there. You gotta. Yeah. You gotta be smarter than the flashlight. There we go. I had it for a half second.
There we go. So it does have a strobe feature, which I guess if you're in like darker situations, yes, people can see your flashlight, but if you have a strobe, it might kind of be a little more alertive or attentive to other people. So if you need any help, that would be good to use. And then if you're just on like a little day hike, you don't necessarily, knocking stuff over, you don't necessarily need to have like a headlamp or a massive flashlight, but we also have, you can bring these little tiny flashlights. They fit in like a purse, they fit in your pocket very easily, and this one's got sparkly bedazzled all over it, so really you can customize what your flashlight looks like.
I like bedazzled flashlights.
So yeah, so illumination, very important to have, especially if you're planning on doing any kind of overnighters. You want to go into the bush, you don't want little things jumping at you. Pretty good to have.
Number 3, protection. So protection is kind of to prevent things, right? So if you're going into the backcountry, that's going to be stuff like your sunglasses, your sunscreen, your bug repellent. I also have some anti-chafe here, which is a pretty big one for me. I kind of really like this product. It kind of comes in it looks like a pit stick, but so yeah, kind of just put it on any of those areas that you know you're getting a little bit of a hot spot. Definitely helps out. It does come in little packable sizes. It's so cute. I find these tend to be a bit of a rip-off. They're only half full, but I like them for their size. Lip chap is important, in my opinion. When you're out in that backcountry. And if you're like me, I get really dry skin to the point where my skin will crack, so I always bring a little bit of hand cream, hand lotion, something small, something packable. Try not to go too scented. Quick note on chapstick.
I was gonna say, quick note on chapstick, it would probably be a really good idea if you had something with a little bit of SPF in it, because you also don't want to get burnt lips. Trust me, it's not nice. It's fine the day of, but a couple days later, you are gonna be sorry. You're gonna be red and chapped and just not happy camper.
I forgot. I think it's Blistex. I don't remember who somebody does a sun and snow one that isn't really heavily scented, but really nice for those lips.
Yeah.
Whoa. Just gonna jump in here. While editing this episode, I double checked on that lip balm that we're talking about. The company is Sun and Snow. It is a company out of Calgary, Alberta, so Canadian. Bonus points there. They also have a couple other products out there for skiers, snowboarders, and the like. Go check them out. We'll be linking to them down below, and it's sunandsnow.ca. The second part to protection that you have to remember is kind of more on the global and protecting yourself from so we're kind of protecting ourselves from the elements and mosquitoes here, but you also want to think about a little bit bigger. So I have the bear bells, and then we also have the bear spray. So if you guys are buying bear spray, I know especially in Canada you actually have to register, so it's tied to your name. If you ever lose a canister, you are supposed to report it to your local law enforcement. And don't be lending out your bear spray. It's attached to you, it's your name, and you can get in a lot of trouble if your friend suddenly shows up with it. I also have a whistle, right? So we saw that we have a whistle on our compass. I recommend a whistle. You'd be surprised, a whistle can do a lot for scaring away animals. It can do a lot to alerting people to other animals. And even sometimes if you're meeting up on the trail, you guys know you can create codes, right? There is whistle codes that you can look up, and maybe we'll do a future video on whistle codes, right? So that gets into that SOS code. 2 whistle tweets mean one thing, 1 whistle tweet means I understand, so that sort of thing, right? So there's
long
all
tweets,
of that.
short tweets,
long tweets, all the tweets, except for the Twitter kind of tweets.
Yeah. Don't do those tweets on the
No, you shouldn't tweet on the trail.
Number 4, first aid. And this will include personal as well as your gear first aid. So today, what we have like our little personal first aid kits. I got this from St. John's Ambulance. And then Nikki's got this one here.
I think I got it from Mech or Canadian Tire, one of those.
Our like favorite stores in the world, really. So But yeah, and then also we have some like aftercare as well. I always have bug bite relief after because mosquitoes love me and they just like to bite me. I get dry eyes, so a little bit of what are they called? Eye drops. Yeah, that's great. And Tiger Balm is actually really good for a lot of things. They're good for bug bites. They're good for like if you have sprains or strains on your anywhere like along the hike. This stuff is really good for it. It smells really good, and I think they say that's a bit of a bug repellent too, because I don't know if they like the cinnamon or the menthol-y smell. So Tiger Balm is a really good all-around item to have on your kits. And then
you can also use it as chafe protection too. I've done it because it's a bit oily, so it will work as a bit of a chafe protection. Especially like I've used it, although then it's really potent because it's by your face. Underneath like my straps if I'm not wearing a proper shirt.
Yeah. I didn't think about that actually. Yeah, it is very oily, so yeah, definitely very you will smell like cinnamon and menthol, that's for sure.
It could smell like words.
Not good for you when you're allergic to cinnamon.
Oh. You
can't use it, sorry. And then we have the gear first aid kits as well. So Nikki brought this one from Mech or
Atmosphere. I picked that one up at Atmosphere.
So it's a little fix anything camp kit is what it says, and so on it it's got some seam grip adhesive. There's like a bunch of little fabric patches and clear patches. My bad. And there's also at the bottom here it says there's like a little adhesive bug mesh. So if your tent, the little mesh in your tent rips, there's a little patch and you just pop it right on there.
I love this brand. So it is Gear Aid. They actually have you can get patches for like this kind of shirt, but the patches, so you can get normal just square patches, whatever, but they also have shapes. So if you cut your jacket, and especially great if you have kids, you can now put a Sasquatch over it or a little mountain goat.
That's awesome.
Or stars. I really like it for that. We will be linking to those down below.
Never mind for kids. I would want a Sasquatch on my jacket.
I'm all about Sasquatches on my jacket. That sounded wrong.
You're Sasquatch all over you.
Sasquatch all over you. We are serious.
Your husband is tall, so.
Oh, he is a giant. Well, he's just not hairy.
He's not a hairy Sasquatch, though.
Maybe he's a shaved Sasquatch.
He's an albino Sasquatch.
Albino Sasquatch. Yes, my albino shaved Sasquatch husband. Yep. I'm leaving that in the video now.
Sorry.
I also want to mention, so Dean over at Alberta Bushcrafter, we're going to link down to him in the below and in the cards on the side. Here, cards on the side. He has a great video on a gear repair sewing kit that he has and kind of goes in depth into that. We will also be making a separate gear repair video in the future, and we will definitely be making a first aid video. Oh, yeah. So kind of going a little bit more in depth into what's in our first aid kit. Yep. So for those of you who don't already know, AIDE is an EMR and I have my advanced first aid. So we're kind of a little bit more into that.
Oh, we're first aid nerds all the way.
Nerds.
Yes.
First aid. Will be proud of us right now.
First aid makes me happy. It's weird.
Oh yeah. We enjoy. So where we work, we get to do a lot of medical, and we love it. It's a big portion of who we are. So we'll be definitely doing a really in-depth emergency first aid in the wilderness and kind of doing an in-depth what's in my first aid kit when I'm on the trail.
Yeah.
In the future. As a quick side note, editing this in because I forgot about it. Duct tape. Let's not forget the power of duct tape. A lot of the time I don't bring tensor bandages on the hikes with me because I find duct tape works perfectly fine enough to get me out of wherever I'm at. That being said, I have had to walk 1.5 miles with a broken ankle and it sucked. So what I do is I just take my duct tape and to save space, I just roll it onto my lighter. So there she is. Yeah. And duct tape on itself will just come right back off, so there you go. So save space, you get a little bit. And yeah, we've got 2 nice little lighters with our duct tape. So that works great for people repair and gear repair. Number 5, cutting implements. I'm gonna take this one because it's probably more my world than it is
she's a nerd about knives.
I love knives. Not in a stabby kind of way, but more in a, they're a great tool. And I feel there's a lot of companies out there that can make some really beautiful and interesting knives. We'll start with their kind of, sorry, this is a somewhat cheap one that I gave to AIDE a little while back. I love it still.
I like it.
First of all, it's pink. It is an EMT blade. It doesn't have a safety tip, which is usually what you'll find in an EMT blade, but it does have the seatbelt cutter and the window breaker, which I've had to use a couple of times now on the highway because I live quite a ways out of town, so I'm constantly coming and going on the highway. So having a seatbelt cutter and that window punch is huge.
Yep.
That being said, make sure you wear gloves when you punch out a window.
Yes.
Personal experience there. I believe that the multi-tool has a place on the trail. I like this one. This is an old one that my sister got me ages ago. Gerber doesn't make this style anymore, which makes me very sad.
No, I've never seen that.
There's just something really satisfying about opening this old style of Gerber. So it does have the little pliers. You'd be surprised how many times out on the trail that you need to crimp something, especially zippers. The amount of times I've had to do zipper repair or anything like that. This little needle nose plier system is really nice. It's got a wire cutter on it, and then inside it has a couple of the screwdriver bits. Again, you never know when you're out on the trail and you just need to get in there. I love this one for it. It's got that can opener. It's got a nice small screwdriver. It actually has the scissors, right, that are rusty as all sin over here.
Used.
I think this has been sitting down in the basement for a while. And then it does have the nice little blade, small blade, nothing too much, with a little bit of the saw implement on it. And it's fairly light and all packs away. I also have just my regular knife. This is one of my CRKTs. I definitely recommend the company Columbia River Knife and Tool, probably one of my favorite brands. If you're not really that comfortable with carrying the multi-tool, or you have another small knife, you can get these eating tools from CRKT as well, and it has a couple of the little things. So there's your bottle opener, a little bit of the screwdrivers on either side, and some wrench pieces, and that just all goes in, and then you can use it to eat. It's really not the greatest eating tool. Personally, it works.
It does the job.
It does the job.
Number 6, fire. So we have matches in our little waterproof container. Got a couple lighters as we have already shown you, with the duct tape around them. So, and then a couple things to start, or well, to go with it as well. We've got 2 flint and steels. We're just saying, like, there's like a coating on it, so you got to make sure that you kind of rub that off before you can actually get a good solid spark from it. So make sure you got that. We have our little, what are these ones again? You said there's a gel. No, this is the oil one. So it's a little cloth or a piece of fabric or something soaked in oil that'll start on fire. So that's really good. And then we also have the gel, which is a very similar item. It's just gel, literally a gel. You put it in there, let it go, or light it on fire, then you can add your tinder and everything to that. And then for the last little bit, we have our little mini camp stove. Is it?
Yeah, it's a little camp stove.
You can explain that one better, because it's yours.
It's not. So just a simple little camp stove. You would have your canister and that would go on. Probably more so for your backcountry hikes. I have another small one that I didn't bring with me. My MSR Whisper Light, really tiny ones. Yep. So, but yeah, nice little ones. They're great for backup. Or if you know that you're going out and you're not necessarily intending to stay over, sometimes you'd be surprised how much of a difference just being able to sit down and build some warmth for yourself can do in an emergency situation.
That is it for fire, right?
It's pretty self-explanatory. Fire, combustion.
Helps you cook food if you need to, keeps you warm, lets people know where you are if you're in trouble.
It's also a big portion of that if you need water, right? So if you don't really have tablets or anything like that, which we're going to get into, that's a good one for being able to boil. Number 7, shelter. Pretty simple. Sometimes you can start off with just something so simple as these little kits. So it comes with an emergency blanket that you can use as an emergency shelter. Sole, which is Survive Outdoors Longer. Survive Outdoors Longer. That's the name of the company. I didn't know that till just now. It just told me on the package. So this one comes with the emergency blanket, which you can consider as a shelter. There is a striker, there's some tinder, there's some duct tape. See, again, duct tape. You'd be surprised with the power of duct tape.
Told you, it's like Windex.
Yeah, and then there's a little compass in this one. Yeah. And a whistle, an ultralight whistle that I don't know how to use, so I've tried. Smarter than I am. I also have some other options. So I have this little ultralight tarp that I have, and so I know if I'm going into the backcountry quite often, this will be in my kit. You'd be surprised how often I end up using a little tarp out in the backcountry. Just if it starts raining and you're kind of stuck in camp for a bit and you think you're just going to hunker down and wait it out before getting back on the trail, this makes all the difference, being able to kind of set up between your tents and if you need to cook under. So there's that. I do have one from Snug Pack, which is a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier. And yeah. So there are also other emergency kits that you can get, have like little emergency bivvies, or again, more emergency shelter styles, whereas this one's just the blanket, but they actually have like an emergency full shelter. So it's usually a 3-sided. like tarp, right? So it's got a bottom and then 2 sides. It makes a huge difference.
Number 8, extra water. So beyond the minimum expectation, it's always a good idea to have in the back of your mind, how are you going to get water if you run out? So we have, oh, well done, good work. So first off, so we have the Life Straw. This is actually just like the Life Straw itself. That's the brand, and that's basically what it is. So that one's really good. If you find a stream, you can literally just stick that thing in the water and start drinking water. See, just like that. Obviously, it's clean, but and then we also have the water bottle as well. I bought this when I went backpacking in Vietnam and the Philippines, just because I was unsure about what their water was going to be like, their situation. And I know that when I bought this, a really good feature of this was the fact that after 1,000 uses, or like 1,000, I think, bottle full is what it is, it stops working completely, and then you can just go and buy a new one, which is good because then you know that it's not going to get a whole bunch of junk in it, and that you need a new one. So it's been doing its job as well. They have a little bit of extra care. What Nikki just did here was, like, once you're done using it, you gotta blow out all the extra stuff just so it doesn't stay in there and it gets all gross. Then we also have another thing for water. We have our little platypus here. We're having technical issues with it today, but this one's really good because once you're done with it, it just rolls right up like this, and it doesn't take up any space. You can even put this in something else, so just store it away really nicely. Another one that we didn't bring are the little water tablets, which are really good. So that if you find a stream, you're not too sure what the water, like if there's any contaminants in it or any bugs or anything, you fill up your bottle, throw those tablets in, they stay for, I don't know, I think you have to do like 45 minutes to an hour, and then it just makes the water safe to drink. It probably still won't taste good, but it's safe to drink. You're not gonna get sick from it. You wanna add in your little extra?
So one of our tips is, if you are in a situation that you have to go to the water tablets, that's great for getting rid of the bacteria, but it doesn't necessarily always get rid of the particulates. So a lot of times what I'll do is, if I'm filling up, say, my Nalgene, I'll just cover it with as many layers as I can of, say, a bandana or something like that, and then use that to fill up and filter all the particulates out of my water, so you're not getting like chunks of mud in your drinking water, which it just doesn't taste good, right? I mean, adds a little bit of character, I guess.
And if you need water, you need water, but
yeah, so that's helpful. That's why I always recommend a bandana. Again, we'll get into that later. Number 9, extra food. Again, as I kind of mentioned earlier, you'd be surprised that when you're kind of out on that hike and you're exhausted and the day's just not going right and things are just going, ugh, and you're having one of those moments, you'd be surprised how much taking the time to just stop, breathe, relax, and eat.
Have a snack.
Yeah. I always bring a little bit of extra snacks. One of my favorite things to bring hiking with me, oddly enough, is an orange. I don't know what it is about like a nice navel orange.
It's got the sugar and it smells good too.
It's just like, it's so refreshing when you're out on the trail. So I'll usually cut it up and put it in a little baggie and away I go. And that's usually like my lunch stop or something like that. But I always recommend bringing something extra. And I'm a big fan of something that has a high caloric dense, is going to fill you up. That's why I like these. They're 8 grams of protein and only 70 calories, but meat and protein will make you feel fuller than, say, bringing celery sticks or something like that. Although I feel like the celery stick would be very rewarding, crunching.
Put peanut butter on it.
Yeah, crunching down the trail. I have the Lara bars. Again, we got that caloric density that's in there, right?
Protein, grains.
Yeah, and
deliciousness.
Everything. This one's mint chocolate chip.
Ooh.
So
yummy.
I have a whole box of these. And also you can get your pretty generic protein bar. These are the Kirkland ones. They're kind of the thick ones. They're a little hard to chew. So my usual secret for these ones, especially if you're out and it's a little bit cold, stick it down your shirt, let it warm up a bit, and then it's a little bit easier to eat. And they're quite stiff.
A little bit, yeah.
It's a little chilly out here, that's why. But again, so a little bit of those extra noms, that's, you'd be surprised how much that'll change your perspective, especially in an emergency situation.
All right, number 10, extra clothing. So it's always really important to bring extra clothing. Point in case today, I didn't realize it was gonna be this chilly out. So I'm wearing all of my extra clothing already, and also Nikki brought me gloves. So yeah, she's my lifesaver. Okay, but yeah, so extra clothing in mind. You can bring extra socks. I know we like to bring extra socks for the end of the hike and or adventure that you're on, because really you don't want to sit in your possibly like your sweaty wet socks. They might be dried and crusted as well, so, and just like putting on a fresh new pair of socks is always helpful, and it probably feels a lot better. Other clothes that we would bring, we've got some
Rain gear, rain pants.
rain pants, there we go. So
rain pants, and then
inclement weather, you don't want to get caught in that crap.
rain jacket.
I have a rain jacket, which is also on my legs right now because I am cold. So it is sheltering me from the cold right now. Bandanas and buffs, like we have talked about in, it was our last Campfire Coffee Chat, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think it was our
So,
feature one.
I brought some extra ones that I have, fun ones, got some pineapples.
I didn't know you had
And as you can see on my hat, do you think I like the Blue Jays?
Maybe just a little.
Maybe just a little bit.
Just a little
Baseball,
bit.
yeah. But yeah, and then so we got a pair of extra socks as well. I wanted to bring these ones because they're fun and entertaining. This is for afterwards. It says "Let's Go Bananas" on it. Yeah, my mom got me these. I'm cool.
Hats.
Hats.
Toques. Again, obviously your extra clothing will change depending on the weather that you're hiking in.
Yeah.
Like we said already, socks. I think extra pair of socks, I don't know, strangely enough, is the one thing I've used the most, other than having to put on rain gear.
Yeah.
Rain gear is also nice because it does have that wind barrier too, so there's
Yeah.
also that if you're out on some of the windy trails, like when I was in Grand Canyon.
Yep.
Nobody warned me it was that windy in the Grand Canyon. One of the other things I kind of want to feature a little bit today would be a shemagh, which is kind of, again, you'll notice in the survival community, it's getting a lot more popular. They're quite large. So this is my Canadian themed one. They're usually 24 by 24 or 36 by 36. But one of the things I love about these is it's the same idea as the bandana. You can use it, you can get a full head wrap going with these. So there's that ability to truly, so you can have it over the top and over your face if you're dealing with wind and sand,
Yep.
right? Designed in the Middle East originally, and a lot of the military boys are bringing them back and bringing them into that survival community out there. You can use it as a sling, so it's a great part of that emergency. You'd be surprised. Rip this up. You can use it to make a brace or what is the word I'm looking for?
A triangular bandage, a sling.
Yeah.
You could also do, like, in a pinch, this would kind of help. I don't know if you, like, let's say somebody falls, they cut themselves really badly, and that bleeding is just not stopping with pressure. You can use this as a tourniquet, really. It's not the best, but it would help in that kind of emergency
Works in
situation.
a pinch. I've seen it where in some of the survival community, the little tassels right here make great fire starter, great tinder. Really, any of it, you can cut a bit of it if you need to. They're just a great all around, and highly recommend it. You can wear them for a little bit of extra warmth, right? Sitting on the ground, very multi-use. And again, as we were mentioning with the bandana, you can use it. You get even more layers to kind of filter out that particulate. And a lot of the time, what people do is you just drop the whole thing in the lake, and then you wring it out, and that water coming out of there is going to be a little bit cleaner. So that's where you're getting that particulate from. That being said, people on a through hike, I'm going to warn you right now, especially you men out there, if you come across a bandana on the trail, just leave it. Some women out on the trail to not use toilet paper use these to wipe. So if you see a bandana on the trail, you're probably just better off leaving it where it is. Or wear gloves and then put it into a baggie.
Yeah.
Which is one of those other things that I was telling AIDE that I bring a lot of the time on my hikes is doggy bags, dog poopy bags, because the dogs are usually with me. You'd be surprised the amount of things I've had to pick up that I'm not really sure I wanted to touch, but I didn't want to leave out on the trail, so doggy poop bags would probably be my bonus extra that I would bring on hikes.
Yeah, bonus round.
That's about it.
Yeah.
That's our 10 essentials, people.
It's this month's Campfire Coffee Chat. So, cheers to you guys. Thanks for watching. Cheers to us.
Cold coffee.
Oh yeah. Still does the trick. It's got caffeine in it.
We're going to link to everything that is on this table down below. We are Amazon affiliates now, so please, by all means, go use those Amazon affiliate links. It definitely helps us out. It helps fund our channel, helps us get us out there hiking, because gas is expensive.
Yeah, Alberta.
Yeah. We're also going to have a couple links. So again, we're going to link to Dean from Alberta Bushcrafter in the cards and down below. Please make sure you check out our most recent adventure video. Again, those will be in the cards on the side and on the end screen and linked down below.
Yeah, and don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends about our channel if you like what we're doing here. Also, we would really appreciate any kind of comments, anything in the future that you would like to see. Let us know, because we would love some new points and just videos that we could possibly do. So, but yeah.
And as always, until next time, go outside
And find your adventure.